Hello and welcome to the KPI Institute's webinar, The Main Components of a Performance Management Architecture. My name is Andrea Costia and I will be your host for today, along with our presenter, Andrea Minelli, and our guest for the day, FX Syuralpha. This webinar is a part of a series of free educational materials that aim to enhance the knowledge and know-how of those interested, while also creating a bridge between us as a company and you, our public. The KPI Institute is a research organization specialized in business performance. It operates research programs in 12 practice domains, each linked to a certification course, ranging from strategy and KPIs to employee performance, and from customer service to innovation performance. Today, 15 years after the KPI Institute was created, we can proudly say that our products and services have reached professionals on 5 continents, and that our public comprises a worldwide community of over 100,000 members online and over 30,000 registered companies on smartkpis.com. In the following episode, Andrea Minelli and FX Syuralpha will describe in detail the core components of a performance management system, how these performance measurement and management tools are designed, their purpose, and above all, how do they fit in the design of a comprehensive PMS architecture in terms of functionality and contribution. The presentation will be delivered by Andrea Minelli, the head of professional services for our Southeast Asian branch. Andrea is a researcher, facilitator, consultant, and practitioner experienced in the deployment and implementation of performance management frameworks. Joining him will be FX Syuralpha, HRBP at APP Sinarmas. Mr. Syuralpha has been working for the past 18 years in several domains covering numerous industry sectors such as plantations, technology, telecom, and chemicals. He is an HR practitioner with a strong background in strategic planning, organizational development, performance management, assessment, and competency development. In his current role, he is the Human Resources Business Partner within APP Sinarmas, leading the performance and talent management practices within several business units. This presentation lasts approximately 30 to 40 minutes. Please feel free to ask any questions you might have during the webinar, as they will be answered at the end in our Q&A session. Enjoy the KPI Institute's webinar, The Main Components of a Performance Management Architecture. Now, I would like to invite Andrea to begin his presentation.
During this month of June. My name is Andrea, and together today I will be your presenter. And I'm very glad because today I will not be alone. I will be joined by a colleague of mine, is Mr. FX Syuralpha. He's from APP Sinarmas in Indonesia. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon, Andrea, everyone.
Yes, well, good afternoon to you, sir, and thank you so much for joining me, but above all, joining us today. We have a lot of participants. I can see some very friendly names from the list, so I'm very glad that you're here with us today. Now, as I was telling you, today is the second episode of a series of webinars that we have been delivering since last week. I could see some people that are right now with us that already participated last week episode, and was episode 1 that was delivered by myself. And today is the second episode that we have in a series of 5. And every week we're going to have different guests and practitioners that will share their point of view over an overall applications of a system that we can call performance management system. Okay. Now, the main purpose of today is going to be the overall discussions of what a performance management system is and what are the main components. I will do a brief summary of the last week episode because my purpose, of course, is to make a bridge to join, let's say, the discussion that we had last week with the discussion we're going to have now with me, yourselves, and also our guest speaker, Mr. Syuralpha. And the way that I want to do it is basically share with you a methodology, an applicable methodology that you can invest, you can create, you can design. Okay, that's why the most important objective that I have for today's episode is to clarify for you and with you basically what are the main components that we generally can call tools. We can call them tools, performance management tools. And among all of them, we have a desired state of evolution, a strategy map, and tools that have been working for years and years, like performance scorecards or dashboard. So the purpose, of course, is to share a bit of clarity and, of course, some importance in terms of understanding how to design them, but above all, how to use them. I will share, of course, my own perspective during all these years of practice, but I will also ask our guest speaker, Mr. Syuralpha, to share his point of view that he's going to share with me, but above all with you, our guests that are a little bit around the world that are currently listening to us. Given that we're using Zoom, I want to underline the fact that I want to interact with you as much as possible. You have access to a chat, okay? And that chat, you can write any questions, any thoughts, any inquiry. And during the actual session and also at the end, during the Q&A session, we're gonna take care of mostly of those questions or inquiries. So don't feel shy at all. Just write your question, your insights in the chat, and I will be able to see them live as you type them, okay? Live as we go through. Before we start with the actual, let's say, content of this episode, I want to make a little bit of a bridge or a brief assessment of what happened last week. Last week was episode 1. And for those of you, because I could see in the actual chat, for those of you that were with me, we had a very thorough discussions about how to build a system. What are the main phases? I kind of call them step-by-step phases. And if you remember, I shed a little bit of light and in terms of detailed assessments of a preparation phase, a design phase, and an activation phase. And from last week, I was telling you that there are some tools that we need to design and that we need to actually activate, to use as practitioners, as performance management practitioners. So today I want to describe with you what those tools are all about. Okay. For those of you that could not attend last week's episode, I will send you a follow-up email with the link to actually access the recording, because all of our episodes will be recorded and accessible to you whenever, wherever you can. Okay. So, but I'm glad that you are actually here with me now live, so you will also be able to listen to all of the Q&As, etc. Now, as a result of last week, I want to highlight with you what are the main core components that we generally can call tools, okay? And the way that I want to show it to you with me and of course Mr. Syuralpha, our guest speaker, is through a very good looking slide. It's a very good, let's say, visual representations of the components. And this visual representation is right here in front of you. There are colors, there are arrows. The colors do have a meaning, of course. So I'm here with you now to share what these colors are all about and overall the architecture. I might be sharing, let's say, a very theoretical, practical approach, but eventually it will be, let's say, benefited and aligned, with, of course, with Mr. Syuralpha, because he has been working with these tools for quite some time. So I'm sure that he's going to be able to share some of his insights on those. These tools, as I wanted to show you here, are all of the red ones: desired state of evolution, strategy map, performance scorecards and dashboards, and portfolio of initiatives, and also a KPI description that is right here. I want to focus on these core 6 tools because they are the most important one. They're the one that really can drive an organization, strategy, and assessment that can we eventually measure and measure our progress towards those strategic objectives, or you can call them strategic goals that eventually we will need to achieve during a performance cycle, okay? Now, to give you a bit of an insight, current state, environmental scan, and mandate, what does that mean? You know very well that we build a framework because we want to achieve a desired state of performance. But we have to have a starting point. We have to understand and analyze our current status. That is why, if you remember from last week, I was telling you that a current state analysis, it could be a SWOT analysis, a PESTEL analysis, a 5 quarters analysis, a project assessment. It tells me where am I as an organization. It doesn't matter how many people, it doesn't matter the sector, it simply tells me where we are. And with the performance manager architecture, it's basically our car to get to the destination that we want. So imagine we have let's say A is our starting point and B is our desired state of performance that we want to achieve in 1 year from now, in 2 years from now. And in order to make that transition from A to B, we need to use these tools that we're going to describe with you in very much details, okay? So if we are able to assess where we are right now, and we know the route or the road, the highway, whatever you want to call it, that is going to lead us to that desired state, we need to have our car. And so all of these tools is actually the car that we need to go through. And in the next half an hour, we're going to describe in details each single one of them, okay? That's why I wanted to highlight specifically right here the tools right now. I have a question to all of you, actually, and you can answer in the live chat there. You're looking at the slide like myself right here, all of these tools. Have you ever heard of them? Do you use them? Have you used them in the past? Do you plan to use them in the future? Can you share your insights in the chat? You can simply say yes, no, maybe I've never seen them before. Any question is enough for me to really understand a bit the status from your side when it comes to use all of these tools. Okay, thank you. I can see yes, some of them. Thank you very much. So it's very good that I can see a little bit the live reaction from your side. Never work on them. Good. Well, you're here to explain what they are and how to use them. So that's great. So if you're ready, okay, I want to discuss and start with the desired state of evolution. Okay, so Mr. Ibrahim, I can see we have all the expected desired state. Well, this is your moment to actually understand what these are. Okay, and again, I intend to share a visual. Okay, the visual is right here. We call it desired state of evolution. From a practical point of view, a desired state of evolution is a tool that we use to assess and clarify in a very transparent way what is our mission, our vision, our desired state of performance. If you remember 2 minutes ago, I told you A is our point of start and B is the desired state. Where do we want to be? So that B letter is actually this document right here. It's called desired state of evolution, okay? Now, I want to take advantage of having Mr. Syuralpha right here. So, sir, I have basically an inquiry or a question to you. In your experience, in your own professional background, have you ever encountered a tool like this? Have you used a tool that could be potentially called like a desired state? What's your insight on this?
Yes, thank you. Okay, thank you, Andrea. So, if I can share, during my experience as practical, this tool is very important because you want to translate the shareholder, the board of director, because they have a desire, right, to achieve something. And then we must analyze and transform the idea, the vision into something that you can measure. So it's a very basic to use this tool to translate that. That's I can share based on the experience, Andrea.
Thank you. That's insightful. The thing is, for everyone, is all organizations have, of course, a vision, a mission, and an understanding of who they are. Okay, I love the comment that Mr. Timberlake just made. I love this tool as it brings all the factors together. It does. So if I'm able to see very clear, this is my mission, These are my main values. This is where we need to achieve. This is the desired state as an organization. And we actually share it in a very transparent way. Everyone, and when I say everyone, I mean all of our employees, our stakeholders, will know that this is the direction of the organization. I am sure that some of you right now, they're actually frowning your forehead and you say, okay, Andrea, but this is something that I think everyone should in an organization have clear and in place. But it might not be necessary all the time. So it's good to use a tool that describes an identity. Okay, so if I would actually answer a question from this tool, okay, most probably it would be something like who we are as an organization, and the answer would be actually found here in a document that we can call a desired state. We can call it desired performance level, as you wish, actually. Okay. Yes, I love the question of Ms. Camisola. How does this relate to the balance scorecard? I'll give you the answer in probably 6 minutes from now because we are getting there. And they have to be linked because I remind you one more time to every one of you. We are building an architecture. Imagine that all of them are little islands, and these islands must be linked with a bridge. They must talk to each other, right? So it will definitely be linked to the balance scorecard, and I cannot wait to tell you how, like a few moments, sir, if you can just wait a little bit, because it does actually have a connection. It must have. Otherwise, we cannot really call it an integrative performance management architecture, because an architecture should work together, like in parallel, having and going towards a common decision, a common, let's say, desired state. But this is not enough. The reason why I'm telling you this is because, yes, I can have a vision, I have a mission, I have values, okay? You remember last week, I was mentioning to you about value drivers and value statements, okay? And the reason why I was highlighting that is because value statements are behaviors. Behaviors that an organization and that employees within an organization should embrace. That's the main reason behind it, okay? So values here, you see, safety, integrity, honesty, excellence, these are all behaviors that our employees must embrace. Why? Because it is part of a culture, an overall corporate culture. Is it enough to have this culture, this vision, this mission, this kind of understanding of who we are as an organization to actually achieve a desired evolution of performance? Well, sorry, but the answer is no. And now we're getting to the very funny side. I say funny because it is very, very interesting the way it's going to be translated. Because now I'm going to click to the next slide, and it's something that you have seen before in the past, most probably in your professional background, a strategy map. It can have several forms, but let's say the purpose of the tool is one, is unique. The purpose is to actually clearly understand the main strategic objective of our organization. Now, don't get me wrong, but a strategy map can actually be used at organizational level, department level, and even as a team level, okay? Before I go into the details, Mr. Syuralpha, from your own perspective, in terms of the strategy map, you worked on this tool, you've been analyzing these tools for all of these years. Was it always at organizational level from a, let's say, a corporate perspective, or you had other experiences?
Yes. After we capture the evolution of the desire, of course, we must put them into the strategic map. We can cascade from the top until the bottom of the layer of organization. So we know exactly everyone in that organization can align with the board of director of the shareholders desire to achieve something this year or this month or something else. And then it's very important to make strategy map like this. After we translate the desire into the map, we can cascading into the individual. Very, very tough, but it's worth it to do it. So we can put everyone in that organization
aligned, basically, right? That's what you were trying to say. I like two things very much from your intervention, and is the word cascading, aligning. And this is crucial, ladies and gentlemen. So actually, thank you, sir, for actually mentioning these two very important words. I can see also some comments in the chat about this. As Mr. Syuralpha said, and I fully agree with what he said, generally, if we are able to visually see our main strategic objective, okay? Because, you know, something that I've noticed, it seems fairly easy to say, yes, my organization has established a strategy that we want to achieve and actually implement. Great, but were you able to translate that strategy into actually measurable strategic objective? That's something different, right, sir? Isn't it? And this is
very challenging, actually.
Exactly, sir. Yes. You wanted to say something else, please.
Yes, because cascading is a process how you can make everyone in that organization can understand that this organization will be go to there, try to get the organization vision this year. So how make this easier so everyone can understand is a very challenging. Usually in organization we have a period time to do it. So how we can communicate it, make the strategy map clearly for everyone. So
absolutely.
We take time to do this.
True.
It's very useful.
It is, especially because at the end of the day, if we are able to cascade such a strategy down to a department, to our employees, then this is going to be the moment that each individual, each employee is going to be able to actually say, okay, this is how I'm contributing. I am a junior analyst in the research department, and I am contributing to the overall success in this way, in this method. And when I say in this way, it's because there is an internal strategy that is taken from the above, right? And it has been somehow cascaded down to a department or to an individual or a team, for instance.
Right.
And the nice part,
easier for HR if they have the clearly tools or somebody or another team to help to cascade, because maybe HR just only talk about behavior or about anything else. But if you have a partner, you make a collaboration with somebody else or another team to make this process cascading from the top until the bottom, to explain what the finance will achieve this year, or the operation, or the sales. So you need a partner from each department to create this strategy map and cascading into their own department.
Sure. We need governance. That's what it is at the end of the day. Yes, we need governance. That's the reason behind it. And I'm sure, because I was looking at some questions, the colors here, the colors that you see here, like yellow and red and green, they do represent the status of achievement. So red, of course, means below target. We did not measure, or we did not manage to achieve it. Yellow means that we are within that acceptable threshold, and green means basically that we were able to actually achieve that objective. The arrows, just for your reference, represents the cause and effect relationship that each objective has in the overall strategy of an organization or of a department that has been cascaded down or aligned down to the organization. But now comes the part that we were asking before. How does this tool is linked to another tool that we can call scorecard, like Mr. Kaza was saying, the balanced scorecard system? Well, each objective that you can see right here in the slide is under a certain category that we can call perspectives. You see, these are the general perspectives of the balanced scorecard system. They have been around for around 30 to 35 years. So they've been in the business, have been used for a long time. And the main reasons behind it is that I'm able to cluster, okay? This is the way to cluster each objective into a category. It can be customer, financial. Those are not compulsory, huh? I mean, I have been exposed to organizations that have other perspectives that were not this one right here, okay? I've been in several ones where safety or let's say any kind of governance related matter was also included and was also measured, okay? That's why we're here, because all of these strategic objectives that you can see here in this slide, okay, that I'm gonna highlight now for you right here, they must be measured. But I'm not inserting our beloved, for instance, KPIs that we usually use, a key performance indicator, in a strategy map. I'm going to actually insert this document in a document we can call scorecard, okay? So how do we make the link from the first tool? If you remember, the first tool, we call it desired state of evolution. It tells me who we are, vision, mission, values, behaviors. I translate that vision and mission into a strategy that I'm gonna measure in strategic objective in a tool that I just showed you, the strategy map. And as a result of that, all of those strategic objectives must be measured in a document we can call scorecard. So all of this blue, as part of our methodology, maintain, ensure, provide, seek, etc. Those are strategic objectives that I must be able to measure. And generally, in the performance management world, we can measure the strategic objective using KPIs, generally known as key performance indicators. They have a very particular role, and the role of having a scorecard is to actually have featured objectives and KPIs in the same tool. Okay, I've been exposed to several types of scorecards in all of these years of training and advisory and supporting clients. But I'm going to ask, of course, to Mr. Syuralpha, from your own side, sir, from your own perspective, that was I'm really interested in. How is your vision, or you say your point of view over the scorecard, and how have you been working with it?
Yeah.
Thanks.
It's very it's not easy to make a performance scorecard like this, because somehow, for example, maintain high level for internal customer satisfaction. So the measurement is percentage of each other customer satisfaction with service level. So this KPI, for example, you must provide the tools first. You make some survey that you spread out to all employee or all the member of organization, right? So you will get this, and you will get some data that you can evaluate this is already run well or not. So I agree with you that these tools will help us to know with the performance level that we already achieved, and we can make some improvement.
Absolutely. Well, the answer is data, right? Because without data, we can't fill this field like 69%, right?
Correct. You cannot make some decision based on assume, right?
Exactly. That's why I want to share something with you that is linked to what Mr. Syuralpha just said. I've been in several organizations. I'm talking to all of you, to all the 61 of you right now in the call. And I have noticed that in the moment that I was involved in participating in a workshop, okay, participating into like a meeting where we were setting up indicators or KPIs, of course, always linked to objectives. In the moment of the end of that workshop, people were definitely very relieved because they said, okay, well, we are done. We have actually did our part. And I am never tired enough to highlight that that is not the end of the process. It's merely the beginning. Because as a result of knowing what we want to measure, all of the data component must start, like Mr. Syuralpha was saying. How am I going to measure the customer satisfaction? Is it an online survey? Is it a face-to-face survey? Is it on SurveyMonkey? How are we going to find out? Who is going to keep track? So each indicator or each KPI must have someone accountable or responsible for. Right, sir? That's, I think, what you were also mentioning, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
More detail that you can measure, more easier to help you make some decision.
This couldn't be true. I mean, it's exactly what we need to do, because I can't really take decisions out of something that I cannot measure, you know?
Right.
Yes, Mr. Shihab, we should have the learning and growth. Yes, it's also below. It just didn't fit in the slide, but I'm going to show another example in a second. So it should have the people learning and growth, because we have here customer, financial, and internal process. Okay. So in terms of features, we have the perspectives in the dark blue, the objective in light blue, and the KPIs. I know that some of you is going to type the question in 10 minutes from now. Okay, Andrea, Mr. Syuralpha, how many KPIs should we have? I know that some of you would ask it, so I would wait for someone to actually type that question, because there is not a special number. It's not a magic number, but there is an optimal solution that I want to show you in a second, okay? And this that I'm showing you now is an example that I just developed from my own. So you see, sir, we have the 4 perspective: financial, customer, process, and people learning and growth. This is a sample for every one of you, okay, for all of our audience. This is just a sample I created on my own, and I just wanted to show you something that could actually work, because we have the light blue as a strategic objective and the indicators, okay? I just want to say something to you that is very important, is that I'm very picky about. I don't know if you notice, in the KPI section, so all of these, let's say, uncolored rows, like accidents, number of non-compliances, there is a sign in front, either a percentage or a dollar, or it can be any currency that you want, or a number, okay? This is very important, because Mr. Syuralpha just mentioned, if I'm able to measure it, okay, it means that I will be able to take decisions based on numbers or based on percentages, right? So this is very important, because if I'm not able to measure that indicator, that is not a KPI. This is something that I'm measuring, but I'm not actually quantifying. Right, sir?
Right.
Yeah. That's something that's very important. I've seen a lot of different KPIs that did not have the quantifier. Like how much is how much? Is it number, percentage, dollar sign, Indonesian rupee, Saudi riyals, euros, right? It's a bit confusing sometimes. So that's, isn't it? That's why I wanted to highlight. So just to re-inform you, the link is that from the desired states of who we are, we translate it into strategic objective. We measure it through a performance scorecard. But I'm going to show you something now that I want to actually discuss, and it is a performance dashboard. I have had a lot of times questions like, Andrea, okay, should I use a scorecard or should I use a dashboard? Well, my answer is I use a scorecard and a dashboard. Mr. Syuralpha, before I go ahead, in your own perspective, have you worked with dashboards, and did you enjoy the experience? Can you share how was it for you in all these years?
Okay. Dashboard, we usually use it when we present to another department or our superior or our boss or to our shareholder. Because with this dashboard, easier to understand which one this period we get low.
Yep.
Another period higher or easier to see, to understand, easier to understand. But
Totally.
when you're using the what we call it, scorecard.
Yes, the scorecard.
The scorecard, maybe you cannot imagine what is 60% compared with 120%, right? So with dashboard, you can see with the with our own eye, easier to understand. That's why we use dashboard if we want to present to explain to another. But scorecard we use for internal. Usually that based on our experience.
Thank you. It's very true. Let me take you straight to the point. Like Mr. Syuralpha just said, if I'm using a scorecard, ladies and gentlemen, I can generally call it a performance strategic scorecard. It's a high-level tool that tells me an overall performance. Does it give me like all of the operational details? The answer is no. That's why I was telling you, I use a scorecard and a dashboard. I'm not using the word or, it's and. So the dashboard, it's definitely a tool, very visual friendly, like in this case. I have so many examples. Look at this as well. I've done so many that I can access them. I can use them in any sector. I've been working with HR dashboards, marketing dashboards, where I'm able to assess and access to data even daily, because I can look at the dashboard every single day, every single week, every single month. Not surprisingly, when you drive your own car and you want to find out all of the information pertaining to speed, fuel consumptions, electrical malfunctions, what do you look at? You look at the car dashboard, right? It's telling you live operational information. So like Mr. Syuralpha said, yes, if I need to present, okay, I definitely gonna use tools like this one, very visual friendly, to actually have a bit of a trend analysis and assess performance. However, in my experience, ladies and gentlemen, whenever we do a performance management review, so at the end of a performance cycle, having in the room or in the Skype call or Zoom call, whatever it is, CEO, board of directors, department heads, decision makers, I may not show them necessarily the dashboard, but I'm definitely going to show them a tool like this, where I have all of our strategic objectives, all of our KPIs, the actual targets, and the actual results, trying to understand whether we achieve those objectives or not. Okay, so this is a very important assessment that I'm saying. A scorecard is definitely strategic. Like this one. A dashboard is definitely operational, because I'm not going to access a scorecard or assess it every single day. I've been in a lot of instances, and maybe also Mr. Syuralpha can share his frequency, that I have access to scorecard maybe once a month, every quarter, every 6 months, definitely not every day. Because if I want to have a look at an everyday perspective, I definitely need a dashboard. I want to share something, if you don't mind, if you allow me. Last year, I was involved in the development of a dashboard for an ER, emergency room. Okay, so all of the departments heads and everyone in the actual ER had access to a live dashboard, informing them of the following information: how many hospital beds were available, how many incoming or upcoming ambulances were coming, how many nurses, how many surgeons, or how many surgeon rooms were available. Why am I telling you this? Because from those KPIs right there, I was able, or they were able, because I'm not a doctor, but they were able to actually take decisions on the spot, having a visual document right there. And as Ms. Rina Rivera just said, the dashboard is a good visualization tool to show figures, numbers correctly or individually, 100%. I couldn't agree more. So all of these, I don't know if you noticed, these are all tools of the architecture. So we have 6 of them. We already mentioned about 4, okay? Now, as I hope it is clear the difference between the two, scorecard and dashboard, because those are crucial. Those are 2 very important performance measurement tools. The next one is something that I'm actually going to ask you, is a KPI documentation form. Are you aware of this tool? I'm going to ask to Ms. Syuralpha in 20 seconds, but before that, I'm asking you, to the audience, can you type in the chat, are you aware of what a KPI documentation form is? Is it yes, no, maybe? Have you ever been exposed to that? Okay, I see a lot of yeses, yes, yes, no. Okay, so before I give you a bit of the explanations, sir, in your perspective, have you ever been exposed to an ID card of a KPI?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay.
But to be honest, Andrea,
yes.
your KPI documentation form that you made more detail that we have. So,
oh, really? Okay.
So I'm sure with this model of KPI documentation form, make me believe that we can make some dashboard more update. So
yes,
I realized that that we have during my experience never make such documentation form detail like this. So I really aware that that's why we cannot make some dashboard more update that you already showed before.
Yeah,
so I
totally
probably
agree. Yeah, totally. And I like the link with the dashboard because it's very important to highlight, especially for those that maybe are not really aware. Well, every one of us has an ID card or a passport, right? Most of us generally. And in that document, we have information like name, surname, marital status, where you were born, date of birth, etc. So those are very clear, specific information for you that describes and informs who you are, right? Well, the same happens here. Just imagine how powerful it could be to create one single template. And the template is what I'm showing you right now, our template of the KPI Institute. It's a 24 template where I write in this template the name, the definition of the KPI, how to calculate it, the trend, the thresholds or targets, and the people's responsible, okay? And imagine giving access to a document like this to all of the employees. So imagine how powerful it could be. So everyone in the organization, doesn't matter if I'm a junior analyst or a senior business development, I'm able to access an informative tool. The reason why I was showing you this tool is because a KPI documentation form has one purpose. The purpose is to inform you, to give general information about what that KPIs are about, how to measure it, what's the purpose, what's the definition, how to calculate it. Should it be always increasing, decreasing? We have to find out. We have to know that information. Okay, that's why it is so important to have. The question that someone is going to ask me is it compulsory to have the documentation form? The answer is no. Is it of an added value to clarify and to have, let's say, all of the right information accessible to everyone? Well, in my opinion, it would be yes. What's your insight, sir, from your perspective? Can it be beneficial in your own experience?
Yeah, based on
Yes, sir. Yeah. Okay, I think we have a little bit of a technical issue. I was actually asking whether this could be a tool that could be beneficial for everyone. But personally, I think it is, because it does create a transparency of information for everyone to understand. And believe me, any question like, because it happened to me, and I'm sure to some of you in the audience, among the 56 of us, it has happened as well. Like, but Andrea, what is KPI is all about? What does it measure, or how can I actually measure it? So this is a question that you would not actually, let's say, heard or be asked in the moment that you are going to build such a tool. Yes, Mr. Kaiser, the KPI documentation could require a bit of time. It does, because the difficulty, oh, thank you, sir, I'm glad you're here, is first of all, to build a template. Once you approve the template, you will have to feed the information with all of the KPIs that you currently have, right? So that's exactly the importance of it. Sir, you wanted to say something and I couldn't hear you anymore. In your experience, what about the KPI documentation form? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, KPI documentation form is important things, because when this year we want to achieve something, right? And then we create vision, and we create the KPI, and then we cascade it until the to our team. And then when you didn't document it, you will get lost what are you already achieved, or
Yes.
what you already learned, what you already failed. So that's why when you finish it, more easier in digitalize, you can see the previous KPI. So we can learn for this year, we still using this KPI, or we will modify, or we create the new one.
Exactly. It does. It is exactly like this. It's a tool that will help us allow how to actually, let's say, see this KPI. Is it telling me the right information? Is it actually guiding me towards that desired state? But it definitely, I was looking at, because I'm very pleased that everyone is typing and commenting, and there's a lot of questions and a lot of insights. I like this one that says, helps minimize conflict. Definitely, because all of the informations are right there. And I will tell you in the Q&A, I will answer this question, who should lead the documentation? Who is responsible for this? Absolutely, we will get to that answer as well. The last actual tool that is very important that I want to share with you, it's a tool that we call portfolio of initiatives. Maybe you've heard it, or you have using it, calling it in another way, okay? Calling it in another way. Maybe it could be a portfolio of projects or portfolio of tasks, maybe. In our methodology, we call it initiatives. What do you see in this actual, let's say, visual tool that I've had is that each strategic objective does not have KPIs. An initiative, it's a project, it's an activity that I intend to use to implement in order to support the achievement of my strategic objective. Let me give you a very simple example. If my strategic objective says we have to deliver high-level customer satisfactions to our customers in the services and products that we sell, that we have. And one of my KPIs says, I don't know, number of complaints received or overall percentage of customer satisfaction. And we have a target. Let's say in 2020, we actually aim to have 95% customer satisfaction. Unfortunately, we get to the end of the year. It's a gap between target, 95, actual performance, 86. So we have a gap of 9 percentage points. A portfolio of initiatives is a tool that clearly states any project that we need to implement to fill that gap between actual result which was 86%, and the desired result, which was 95%, that we can call a target, a numerical target. And in this tool, each plan that we call initiative will have a name, will have an owner, will have a timeline. There will be a budget. You see here, budget status. Is it approved? Is it pending? Is it cancelled? How high of a priority is this? So I hope that you see that initiatives portfolio is used to kind of find a solution to underperformance. Mr. Syuralpha, from your own side, from your own perspectives, have you ever been involved or, let's say, exposed to a tool that could be a portfolio of projects or initiatives in your own life, in your own professional life?
Yes, because with portfolio of initiative, actually we get the, some update progress.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Using these tools help me also to monitor which one still ongoing, or
yes.
which one get problem, so we can know which problem that we can looking for the solution, right?
Exactly. That's the purpose of this, finding a solution to an underperformance, but in a way that is documented. You see, everything is crystal clear. If I'm having, I don't know, we actually achieved 86% and the target was 95, what could be a solution to that? Should I train my customer agents? Should I actually create an environment that is more, let's say, complacent to high performance? Is it an issue with the communication? I'm not having the right tools or the wrong tools in the way I communicate with my clients. It could be a lot of different things. But I need to translate that into a tool that we can call portfolio of initiatives that I will be able to monitor time after time, okay? So overall, these are the main, let's say, 6 tools that we have used, okay? And that I'm actually, let's say, very looking forward to implement all the time I'm involved in the creations of a performance management system. Now, I know you might be thinking, okay, Andrea, but these 6 tools, am I using them at organization level, department, team? Well, let me tell you right away, all of these tools that we have used, so desired state of evolution is only corporate level. It's an understanding of who we are as an organization. Strategy maps, so strategic objective, we can have them in corporate, department, division, team, individual level, right? Everyone can have strategic objectives. KPIs are the same. So if you're gonna join the episode 5, which is gonna actually happen in 2 weeks, we're going to describe how to actually cascade. So I'm very pleased that Mr. Syuralpha mentioned this a few times, how to actually be able to cascade it down to employee level. Even though I have to give you a sneak peek, cascading is not necessarily top down. We have also bottom up and horizontal cascading. So I'm not gonna go into details about that because we will need another hour to discuss about it. That's why we have an episode dedicated on this. But it is definitely crucial to have those KPIs across all levels. And another thing that I want to ask you is the fact that if I'm able to have a tool like a desired state of evolution and my scorecards and dashboards and my portfolio of initiatives, I have everything documented. You know, I have everything documented. Everything is clear right there. You know, that's why it is so important to being able to have a transparent approach into this. Now, there were a lot of questions. If you have more questions, just type them down in the actual chat, okay? So we will be able to answer all of them. Sir, I'm gonna take one just to start to break the ice. There was a gentleman who's asking me, I'm actually gonna go up a little bit. There was one that says, a definition, yes, that was a very important one. Which ones are the most important fields in the KPI documentation form. Now, our dear colleagues, Mr. Khan was saying, well, in my 8 years experience of practice, definition and formula is very important out of the documentation. Very true. I need to know what it measures. I need to know how to calculate it, definitely. Sir, Mr. Syuralpha, from your own perspective, which ones really stands out in this field? Which ones are important to you?
Yes. If you want to make dashboard or scorecard, of course, you must clear about what you want to measure, what you want to calculate. So maybe you can create some formula to measure it. So for me, based on experience also, first you must clear about the name of your KPI,
Yes.
and then definition, and then calculation. Because based on that data, maybe if you find your colleague didn't understand, so you can explain it easier if you have this kind of information: name, definition, calculation.
True. And I would also add trend and targets, because as you know, KPIs can be increasing or decreasing. It really depends. So I need to find that information out. So these are the one that really stands out. By the way, I know because Mr. Kaiser was asking me, this requires a lot of time, isn't it? This is just a template that we use. If you ask me, how would a KPI documentation should look like, or an ID card, this would be my answer. But we have tailored and customized the KPI documentation form in all of the organizations that I had the pleasure of assisting, creating the template that you wanted. I gave my own opinion, but you eventually decided. Because, as Mr. Manuel Garcia was asking, who actually governs this documentation? This is a very important question. If you remember, I was telling you that each KPI, like the one I'm going to show you right here, should have an accountable person. Someone who's going to gather data for that KPI, and someone who's going to be responsible for the overall performance. So it's going to be that person that gathers the data who is going to be responsible to fill that template in with the information, okay? However, and I really like the question from Mr. Garcia. I was asking, can this person that we generally call in our methodology kind of a data custodian, can I change or edit the information? Yes, you can, but it has to be authorized. By whom? Generally, department heads, decision makers. I cannot simply change the target because I really want to change the target. There is an overall strategy that we have to respect. So that's very important. So I can edit it only if authorized by department heads, decision makers, or a performance management office. Okay, so this is very important. Sir, I have a question that I wanted to say. Where is this? Okay, it's about the documentation form. Definition and calculation will clear a lot of confusion during performance feedback session. It does. It does. The question that I was asking, sir, is how is the calculation formula done? Do we have let's say, a general calculation, or does it change as per the KPI? What do you think? Because it seems like it should change, right?
Yeah.
The way we measure it.
Because like this. First, when you want to create a calculation formula, actually you can use with the usual one, or you know exactly what you want to measure.
Yep.
So with the simple algorithm or simple calculation, you can explain with another one. This is what I want to measure. I like what you say before. Performance management committee, right? You said
yes,
like
it
that.
was correct. Yeah.
It's very good idea, because somehow our KPI will be conflict with another one, right? So we need some mediator. We explain the mediator, hey, my KPI conflict with our colleague. So how
Yes.
we can make everything align to achieve our desire before, right? The strategic map. So maybe our calculation wrong. Maybe our correct calculation is right. So we need to adjust and align. So I like your idea to make some performance management
Mhm.
committee to as a mediator. So everyone, every team, every division can achieve together as a one organization.
Yeah, I totally agree. And especially when you have to be able to create and having formulas that can differ. Because the
Right.
way I'm measuring a KPI can be different with respect to another KPI, right? Because I
Right.
can be only measuring, like I have an index and it's A divided by B, or I can also have, a KPI that I'm measuring number of complaints and I'm just counting them. I have 4 complaints registered now. Okay, for instance, as an idea. So it is very important to make it transparent for people to really see. Okay. The to my audience, if you have any other questions, just type them down in the chat. I'm just going to look for other ones. So, Mr. Casey, what is the goal? Is the target? Okay, now, so this is, of course, is just a sample that I'm taking right here. Generally, if I have to have a goal, now, in our methodology, a goal is a composition of several strategic objectives. So we have one corporate goal or one departmental goal that is composed of smaller, smart objectives. I know among all of you right now in the chat, I just mentioned the keyword smart, okay? Smart objectives. So something that is very specific, that is measurable, that is achievable, so that I can actually quantify, that is relevant for me, and that has a time bound, okay? So in this tool, I can call it purpose or strategic objective. I can actually copy paste it from my scorecard, okay? Because everything is there. I'm measuring this KPI for this particular purpose, and that KPI will have a target, a numerical value, okay? All the time. So that's the way it has to be measured. There is another question. Maybe you can go ahead, sir. The question is the following. It's about the initiatives. Initiatives which is measurable by time. Can we take as leading KPIs? Okay, that's an interesting one. Well, let me tell you this before I ask Mr. Syuralpha. Leading KPIs and lagging KPIs is something that I'm going to discuss next week, okay, in the next episode, because it's about creating, let's say, an understanding of how my KPIs are future looking. Now, to answer Mr. Shiab's questions, an initiative is a plan. And I'm able to actually, let's say, take and make this plan work with the purpose of filling a gap, okay? There is a time, absolutely, there is a time bound that this initiative or project must be, let's say, in compliance with, for sure. Now, if, for instance, I need to have a certain types of initiatives or programs, I do know that that program is going to eventually lead or impact positively my performance. Remember the example, 86 to 95? That's exactly what it is, okay? However, there are no KPIs in a portfolio of initiatives, as you can see. The objective is here, but those are not KPIs. Those are actually plans with a starting date and an ending date, okay? So that's the main reasons behind it. If you have any other questions, otherwise all of the remaining ones, I'm going to answer them via email, and I'm actually going to send it to you for your own, let's say, benefit at the end of the day. And well, as a result of this, I feel this comes to an end of our episode. Mr. Syuralpha, I wanted to thank you very, very much for your participation and for your insights. And I hope it was a lovely experience that we can replicate in the future soon.
Thank you for your invitation, Mr. Andrea. Really
Oh,
appreciate it.
it was my pleasure. And thank you again for your time and insights for us. And before I let you go, I'm actually going to give you an invitation for next week. Because next week we're going to talk about something that is also very important. I want to show you in a second. I just wanted to tell you that everything that we've been discussing so far, especially from episode 1, it's part of a methodology. We would need actually days and days to share all the entire methodology. But given that we have this hour for us so far, we're basically giving a very interesting, let's say, introduction to the overall methodology. And I'm actually very pleased that you're here with us today, because if you are actually interested in finding out more, or maybe giving even more access to the overall methodology, you can join all of our certifications online, like in the example that we have right here. So we have an overall set of comprehensive portfolio of certification that range from strategy planning, strategy review, KPI, data analysis, strategy business planning, performance audit. So anything that you might be interested with, we have it in the form of our certifications. Okay, so if you would like to participate, you just need to raise a hand and I will give you some indications for that. That is, of course, all of our methodology shared online in our professional courses. These are all here, right here. So from KPIs to strategy planning to performance management. So if you are interested, feel free to contact me by email or directly right here in the chat to give you some guidance on those. And the last thing that I wanted to tell you is that in case you are, let's say, undecided on which course to take, you can actually take all of them, because we have our own comprehensive membership with all of our courses that you can take in the form of live online, like the one we have right now, or even in the form of registered courses under a membership that we call Insight Plus at this investment. That might seem quite a big investment, but if you compare it to the actual value and all of the actual insights that you get, it's all actually a very good investment for the time being, considering the overall, let's say, knowledge that you would acquire. Anyway, I'm giving you actually, as we say in French, a rendezvous for next week. Next week episode is going to be very interesting because we're going to talk about buy-in. And believe me, I'm sure that also Mr. Syuralpha, you can say it, obtaining the support of our employees, of our stakeholders when building such a system, it's very time-consuming and complicated. It is, without a doubt, one of the most challenging aspects. And I'm sure that if we would have another hour, which is going to be next week, I hope every one of you can be actually there with me. And we're going to discuss about how to get such a buy-in. I will share my insights, my own perspective into this, the challenging side, the difficult side, that eventually are crucial components in the overall implementation. So I'm giving you actually the meeting for next week, next Wednesday, and the 17th, around 5:30 for me right here in Malaysia. So it's going to be around in the morning according to your time zone. So I'm really looking forward to the next session because believe me, it's definitely one of the most challenging ones. So I cannot wait for next week to share my insights and also maybe to share your insights as well. In the meantime, I wanted to thank you everyone again. Also, Mr. Syuralpha, thank you so much. And well, I give you the meeting or the appointment for next week. In the meantime, wishing you best of performance, and I wish you a very lovely evening, day, afternoon, according to your time zone. Take care of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Andrea, for your presentation. And this brings us to the end of today's episode. The KPI Institute appreciates your interest in today's webinar, The Main Components of a Performance Management Architecture. Follow our websites and any of our social media channels to find out more details about our next webinars when they get posted. Also, if you're interested in getting a certification granted by the KPI Institute on vital areas within the performance management discipline, you can explore our scheduled courses on marketplace.kpiinstitute.org. Thank you all once again for your participation. We wish you the best of performance and have a nice day.